Hammerin Harry, or as it's known in Japan, Daiku no Gensan, is a pretty long-running series of games spanning from 1990, with games on the original NES and Game Boy all the way to 2008 when it got a PSP game and an anime show. The series was developed by Irem, the really awesome and underappreciated shut the fuck up JonTron developers of R-Type, along with other lesser-known yet very fun games, including a bunch of really cool visual predecessors to the Metal Slug series and the charming shmup Mr. Heli, which I might cover in the future. In this video, however, we'll be looking at the arcade game that started the entire Gensan or Hammerin series. The setup is very simple. A bunch of douchebags from a very douchebaggy construction company destroy the home of the innocent carpenter protagonist Harry, or Gen as he was originally known in Japan, and it's up to him to use his hammer, jumping abilities, and whiz to kick their asses and thwart their evil plans. Harry might seem simple or, dated at first, but like other classic arcade games, there's a lot of hidden depth. There's a damage difference between your normal one-handed hammer attack and the two-handed one. Every level introduces not just a lot of super creative conceptual enemy and level design ideas, but also progressively asks players for more and more high-level uses of their hammer. In level 1 you'll be taking out a bunch of simpler enemies, including these pasta-eating dudes whose bowls you'll have to dodge or attack in mid-air, but as soon as you reach the manhole cover throwing workers, you'll notice that your hammer serves as not just a weapon but also a shield. You'll kill a bunch of these electricity pole guys and then finally reach a simple and tutorial-like yet still quite interesting boss battle. In level 2 you'll be attacking upwards to fight these guys, and then you'll fight these little blue box enemies. They're a little tedious in the game's second cycle. After this, if you're clever enough, you'll discover your very first secret area. You'll dodge a bunch of spiked balls, trying to keep these guys from digging holes in the ground and revealing spiked pits, then fight a new boss whose difficulty varies hugely depending on your power-ups, something you'll definitely encounter later on too. It's a piece of cake if you have the big hammer, but otherwise you might just get majorly fucked up. In the next level, you'll instantly get assaulted by these enemies jumping off a boat, and you'll create a bridge out of these metal pipes in an unscripted way that actually shows off some neat early video game physics. You'll jump on some cars, kill the dudes inside of them, and dodge or parry these giant deadly hooks, and then finally reach a mini-boss that'll hopefully make you take note of another very useful action of your hammer. Much like a typical platformer boss, Harry can make the ground shake with his hammer, which keeps this guy from shooting his projectiles and leaves him open to attack. This becomes really useful in level 5 during the game's second cycle, when you'll deal with a group of enemies by simply shaking them off screen. After that, you'll break into a room with a lot of enemies, which is when another hammer technique will come into play. Using your two-handed hammer attack on the ground after jumping will create an even bigger shockwave that will damage every ground-based enemy. From this point on, the game never ceases to throw new ideas at you. From two quick puzzles that don't take away from the main draw of the experience to a game of wacka mind-controlled mole. It's a very fun and creative ride all the way through. Sadly, nothing is perfect. This game has some pretty glaring issues here and there. The strange scrolling glitch is a huge problem during two particular moments of the game. If you scroll away from crates, they'll just magically disappear, which can make you lose some really useful power-ups. This is very obnoxious in the secret from level 2, where you might accidentally take a few steps back and screw everything up. And then there are some cheap coin-munching death traps here and there. Keeping an otherwise fantastically designed game from perfection, I recommend watching a long play or playing through the game once with coin spamming or save states so you can learn the level layouts before attempting score-based runs or 1cc's. Once you've memorized the small handful of bullshitty moments, your success will only depend on your skill, as it should. The audio-visual presentation, while not technically mind-blowing, is extremely charming. The The characters have a very masculine, chubby, oafish look which was kind of stamped out for the protagonist in the future Hammerin games, in favor of a cuter, chibi look, which I still like quite a bit, mind you. The colors go together well, the hammer blows have impact without taking control away from the player, and the detail on the sprites is applied tastefully. The music's not mind-blowing, but it has some fun themes that complement the silly upbeat tone of the experience very well. Gen went through some unfortunate censorship in the West, which is why I'm playing the Japanese version here. In the Western version, the power-up that turns your skin red and gives you a fast spinning hammer attack is a chili pepper. In the original, it's a bottle of booze. It goes unsaid that a carpenter getting pissed drunk and madly swinging his hammer around as a power-up is much funnier. The scoring system offers a lot of replayability, as do other small things. Will you use the hammer that deals far more damage and has bigger range, or will you keep the spin attack that surrounds your entire body, almost as a force field, and is thus not just faster but also safer to use? The jump upgrade is also not a super simple choice. Sometimes having a hard jump can be helpful, and the extra points are nice, yet in other cases it can screw you over pretty badly. A normal playthrough will take you about 15 minutes, yet the game has 2 cycles, the second of which is harder than the first. You only get to truly complete the game after you've played through both. Scoring has a surprising level of strategy to it thanks to the time bonuses offered at the end of each stage. Which enemies will you kill and which will you run past? And then there's the final boss who you can technically defeat without letting him attack once, as long as you're good enough at least. This is a fun game that deserves more attention, so give it a shot. Maybe you'll get a brand new high score in this nearly 3 decades old game.